Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is Augusta 10, 2023. This is the day that they gave us a number about a CPI, and a CPI says that things aren't so shabby. It came down. It came down. It's not as hot as it once was. It is actually cooler than it once was, so it is moving in the right direction. Seems a-okay. However, I'm sure somebody will say it's awfully sticky. It's sticky.
Or they're going to say disinflation.
Disinflation. We got problems. The funny thing about that is these. If I'm telling you, man, I said it on the little show yesterday. If these twat waffles come through and start talking about deflation being an issue, I'm gonna lose my shit. Like honestly, it's like everybody needs to get fired. The first person who starts mumbling about deflation being
so
a
we
problem.
all need to prepare for HellsBells to lose his shit because I'm sure we're going to hear it at some point.
It's. Can you imagine, dude? If we like in the same like 6 month period, we go from one to the other. Like how fucking stupid! It's
Did that
almost
really surprise you?
You know what I'm really surprised about? I'm really surprised that this little moody person and this little who was the other one last week?
Bitch fuck.
Fitch. That they're gonna let the market run like absolute fire. And then randomly be like, oh no, we got to downgrade all of yous. It's like where was that 2-3 months ago? Where was it? Where was it? It's like that's one of those things that I would really love. It's like, can we get internal emails from these people as far as seeing whether or not that they intentionally just stuffed these reports on purpose to let the market run, and then we're like, okay, let's release it now.
Yeah, I mean, the games they play we're never going to have visibility into. I mean, Stonkington might eventually.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think he plays hear no evil, see no evil quite a bit. I think he feels safer that way, and I don't blame him. Probably. I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Man, so Bender, what you got, buddy? What's going on in the world on your end? I'm sitting here just tinfoil hatting, but like Fitch and Brad, Chad, and Thad just sitting there, and then Moody comes over and brings some date rape drugs, and they sit there and they talk about how they're gonna, get all on the little college girls.
Well, do we not have anything else that we need to be looking out for?
I don't. Does it matter? It's either gonna go up or down.
Hey, it matters because that's what we cover. People want the what's going on.
To be fair, I can't tell you when Moody or Fitch is going to say their next dumb thing. Everything else is still intact from the standpoint of the market. It's like the narrative is not poor. The narrative is actually quite good. But I don't know what these cats are doing over there. So it's like everything.
Well, all eyes on
right
Jackson
direction,
Hole. I guess we wait for that.
Jackson's Hole. Yeah.
Jackson's Hole.
What's the first thing you think about when you hear about Jackson's Hole? Like, what comes to your mind first?
How much I can make fun of my kid because it shares that name. So,
how about you, Stonk?
Yeah.
Not good. The flashbacks of the Michael Jackson documentary.
Stonkington with the W. Good job, buddy. That was good. That was nice. Very impressive. Early in the morning for you, and you're swinging hard.
And it's interesting that comes to mind. That is interesting.
Outstanding work.
All right.
This man right.
Here's a ES chart. And the key levels that I've got on here, you can see the orange line up here, relative equal highs right there, 45, 25, 25. And then prior day's low and yesterday's close. Just so you can see where those lines come from. Yesterday, we came down into right to the bottom of this fair value gap on the daily. And actually, I'm going to show, let's go to a 4-hour real quick, because we were talking about this regular trading hours gap in here. Right here was the top of this candle. That was the bottom of this regular trading hours gap, right? So we had that level kind of picked that, okay, if it comes down in here, it'll look to fill that daily fair value gap and potentially the bottom, tap the bottom and close that regular trading hours gap, which it has done, right? So that tells me that if it comes it down and takes that out, well, that's already been filled. So it comes down and takes that out. Well, then what do we have? And that was a 4 minute, not a 4 hour. I'm like, why do I have to zoom so much? Okay. Or scroll so much. So yeah, that was the bottom of that right there. So we filled that in. This shaded box right here. Now, if I go to a daily, you can see this is the next daily fair value gap is right in here. So if it breaks yesterday's low, now that that's been filled, it's like, what is it trying to do? Well, this would be the next target would be to come in and fill this in, right? Potentially down to that 44.50 level, but you got the bottom of this parallel channel, which is, you know, kind of what I was like, come on, bring it down here. Give me the bottom of this channel or near it around that 44.60 level. That was kind of where I was looking at, you know, buying as far as adding to, you know, some of the longer term positions that I took profit on up in here when we were talking about it. Now it may not give me that, but again, if we break yesterday's low, then that might give me that opportunity down in that 44.55 to 44.65 area. So going back to the 15 minute, we'll go back to electronic trading hours. You've got prior day's close and the Asia session low right down here, 44.92. Let's call it 44.92 half. If it starts pushing down, that would be the first target. And then again, you got this like swing low right here, 44.8325, and then yesterday's low, and then you're into this daily fair value gap. And that's the top of an old new week opening gap, 44.59 half. As far as upside targets, so now we have these relative equal highs right here. Going back to the 60 minute, you can see it was the top of this candle. It came right up to it, tapped it, and said nope. So that becomes an upside target, followed by yesterday's high, 44.36 half. This top right here, I wouldn't imagine that would contain a lot of resistance at this point because we traded right up into the top of this fair value gap right here, this 60-minute fair value gap, right? Like to the tick. Right there. Right? So if we trade back up into that, again, that likely gives nice green candles when it gets through there. And it'll take out that 45, 41 half. And then we need to be focused on 45, 47, because that's the top of this 60-minute fair value gap. Above that, you have the swing high at 44.6075 or 45.6075. And, you know, above that, you can start to see the gap in here. There was this consolidation area before the breakdown. So I'll call those levels out if we find ourselves up in that area. About the only other thing that I have here, let me go to a 5 minute. This, go right here. So I've got this level, midpoint of the range. So that was this candle to the, you know, that wick high down to this candle's low. The midpoint of that right here, 45,
what
10,
time
75.
frame are we looking at right there?
5 minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was the news print, CPI print. And then they took it right down here. They took out the London session low already. on this move down. Surprised it didn't take. I would have liked to see him come all the way down pre-market and take that Asia session low, because then it's like, okay, all that stuff is out of the way. However, that would also have set us up for. This may set us up for sort of a seek and destroy type day, right? We've taken out the London session high and the London session low already. So now it's like, all right, what are they going to give us? Well, I'll be looking to see if we break out of this range, or if they, push it up, bring it back down towards the midpoint, come below it, back up towards the midpoint. That would tell me, okay, we're going to do this crap all day.
All right.
That's about it.
Do you have any type of an internal lean, like just a smidge, like just
I would lean. My personal lean would be that it is going to be that kind of day.
Okay.
I hope it's not. They gave us great range yesterday, but I'd rather them not just, do the whole sideways back and forth thing today. But if I had to pick, I would say, there's a decent probability of that happening. What I really wanted to see was them take us down to the bottom of that channel. Don't know that I get that. And I was kind of hoping selfishly that this CPI number would come in a little hot, and that would take us down to the bottom of that channel and give us that buy opportunity. But
yeah, it's like there's nothing within the data that I parse through that says that we should have a red candle.
Yeah,
it's like there's just nothing there. They would have to be very creative in making up excuses as far as creating a sell environment based off of that data. They're going to have to find something else.
Yeah. So I'll be, that's kind of what I'm expecting. But, that can change, and just be ready.
Be ready
to change your bias, right? Like if it starts setting up like a trend day and Flo says we're going to trend regardless of direction, play it. But
all right, very good. Do we have Sunny today?
That's all I got. We do.
Sunny,
What's up?
I don't know. You tell me. What's up?
What's happening? All right, upgrades. Amazon, GDRX, Roblox. So Roblox had a shitty ER the other day. I'll talk about this in a minute for the reason for the upgrade. Other upgrade, SO and PEN, downgrades, ABNB, PBR, Task. So congratulations to the ones that were holding that bought the Capri, Swift, Bullish, or Alpha Gold that came out last week. The 4250 calls for November.
Yeah.
Capri is getting bought out by TPR for 57 a share. I know Maria
is that what happened? Is that was the pop?
That's the pop.
And who are they being bought by again?
Tapestry. So Tapestry owns Coach and all the other brands, whereas Capri owns Michael Kors, Jimmy Choo, Versace, things like that.
Huh.
Yeah, consolidation in the upper tier. I'll keep an eye on
t-shirts. Yeah, for sure.
I'll keep an eye on Real. They had some news also yesterday. More people are flocking to Real to buy name brand bags and things like that. I've been in the Commons in Real for a while now. Disney reported the ER yesterday. They put out they took initial dip, but then they said, okay, hey, listen, our ad-free tiers, people has increased by about 25%. Then we have this whole ESPN and Penn merger. I think they're going to spin that off. And they raised their pricing. So it got a nice pop. It's been holding that pop. There was other news out yesterday. The administration signed the new bill to curb investment into China. So I just want to clarify that. So what they're talking about is curbing investments, and if anybody does an investment, they have to let the FTC or White House, whoever, about what investment they made. This is not a restriction on exports. So that's why you just saw like an initial dip in the semi chip, and it has pretty much held up.
What
If
if
they
I
add export restriction, then we'll probably see a dip.
open a Chinese restaurant?
What about it? Well,
Do I
you're
have to report
investing.
it? Do I have to
Yeah,
call
why
Joe
not?
and be
Yes.
like, "Hey, man"?
Yes,
I do. Okay.
you do.
Fuck.
Yes, I know.
Big brother everywhere,
I
even
know,
in the egg
man.
roll.
Even
It's
the egg
horrible.
rolls. Yeah, we've come down to that. It sucks. Uh, Johnson and Johnson, so they got a FDA approval for a new antibody-based therapy for blood cancer. Now, Johnson and Johnson been getting a lot of dark pools. Some of that is due to also KView, the spinoff that they did. They're supposed to offer some like 10% discount. So like for the spinoff for the shares for KView in a week or so. And KView is also, I think, is supposed to join the S&P. It had some pop yesterday. I have some other news on it. I'll post it in the room if anybody's interested in that. I would keep an eye out on Lyft, Uber, and GM today. So San Francisco is supposed to vote on approving self-driving cars as taxis at all hours in San Francisco. So whichever decision they come, if it gets denied, I think Uber Lyft gets a little pump up there. If it gets approval, I would look for GM, Google to get a little pump, and Lyft, Uber to go down. Let's see what else I have. Yeah, and that's all.
That's
Roblox.
it.
So I just wanted to talk about the Roblox things. So I'm thinking about putting a play on that because even though they had the bad ER, in a month or so they're gonna start offering ads within the Roblox environment. So that would bring in more revenue into the Roblox platform. So I will at this point kind of look to add a play on it. I mean it has pretty much given up all its yearly gains so far. And the other play I'm looking at is putting up is on coin. So it's coin has come up to this nice support area, which was resistance on the daily 3 times. And the reasoning for that, and I think it may be low risk, is because the potential approval for the ETF, the crypto ETFs coming up. So those are the two plays I'll be looking to put up long-term plays. That's all I have.
Okay. All right. So we determined that if you open a Chinese restaurant, you got to call Joe.
Yes.
Okay. Especially if you serve wonton chips. You do the
Yes.
wonton chips. You have
Yes.
to. Stonkington, what you got for us?
All right, I'm here. I'm ready. Let's get some stuff going. We got some good ones today. Here we go. We got the screen share, and we got a smash burger to talk about. But
Uh-oh.
first, we've got an ER that came in last night, which means it's time. We had a win. So today, you could be the owner of your own personal in-home slot machine. IGT triple cash free play for sale. If you had this one in your own house, I mean, the house always wins. So I think you got to buy this one. Obviously.
Is it
Come on down.
regulated? Does it have the
I mean, it's
the
going to be.
certificate? Can I put it out in my front yard and monetize it?
I think so. House always wins.
Really?
I'm pretty sure you need a gambling license for that.
Well, maybe we'll throw that in with your fake prize. We'll give you
All
the
right.
gambling.
So if I don't need a gambling license, I'm going to say $1,200.
Hells is in at 1,200. Full Moon's going in at 3,000. Agumen says 7K. So we had
$2,500.
Vendors in at 2,500.
I feel like I'm low all of a sudden.
I'm just taking a
3,500.
wild ass guess. I have no idea what these things go for.
Free if you win it from the casino. Also good. Everyone's trying to cuck each other.
Why is Sooner being such a dick, man? All right, I got to change. I got to go 27.50.
You can't change. You already no. That's you don't get to do that.
All
There you go.
guesses are
$9.99.
wrong. All guesses are wrong and too high.
Damn it, Sooner.
All we needed was a $1, and you would have got it.
That's it. That's
All
it.
right.
Fucking Sooner.
Okay. So we got a smash burger. We have an alert set to pop in the room. The Q's is the only one that would have met Larry Williams' definition of a smash day, which we want to be thinking failed breakout. When we closed above the prior day's low, we'd be looking for a break above yesterday's high, which actually is not that far away. We're coming up on it, and we will get an alert that pops in the room. The SPY and the IWM did not close above, or excuse me, did not close below the prior day low, Tuesday low. So those technically wouldn't qualify, but the Q's does. So if we dive in, break down the NASDAQ chart here, what I'm looking at is this big falling wedge. I mean, I kept having to adjust the lower trend line. They haven't let it go. You know, it was kind of like this trend line, then they sold it. So we'll see what we get on this. For fair value gap below, we can see this one was formed last night when I put the chart. They kind of filled it, used it as support, popped. We have the new week opening gap is this pink box, and then first upside target will be up here, 379.50. If we pop that and we can break this, 449.75 would be looking. This is orange line is our weekly fair value gap that we've already traded through, but I'd be watching for the reaction there. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here on the NASDAQ. Still kind of looks like this falling wedge. So see what we get for flow. If we jump over to the Rusty Bag of Dicks, similar falling channel, just a little bit less of a wedge style. They're just kind of keeping it pretty clean here. We had this fair value gap off this candle that already has been filled and pushing back down. For downside targets, I'm going to keep watching this. I haven't moved this line since we talked about it the other day, 1937.90. If we get, we've got 45 minutes on this candle. If it closes below here, this 1951, then we could be looking at this area to continue to work as resistance. And yeah, we've seen some of these ERs not so hot on the small cap side. So we'll kind of see what we get over there. For individual tickers today, I wanted to watch Microsoft based on a dark pool from last night, which it seems to be holding. 10% came in at 322.23. So what I would do in this situation when we see price action open up like this, I would just create a new call trigger, which would be this line right here, which is basically pre-market resistance, give it a nice round number. And this would become the put trigger. So I'll be looking long above 327.20 and short below 325.15 on Microsoft. See what we get. The other one I wanted to watch was going to be Tesla. Just kind of been waiting on this falling channel. Yesterday, pre-market, we were talking about 45.80 as a put trigger. Same line now becomes the call trigger. And below, probably could move this. That's a ER gap, that purple box. Probably just move this up here so we're not waiting around all day for a potential put trigger, and make that for the downside would be, what am I looking for? 241.85. And that's all I got.
Man says that's it. That's all he's got. You got a lean, you got a tilt there, Stunk?
I mean, I've been stuck in that freaking falling wedge. It's just like we don't really have flow that's super bullish, so we're waiting on that, and we keep rejecting. So if we reject, I would think we could see some downside here, but once we pop this trend line, I think we could really get going to the upside. It's just gonna, kind of got to see how it plays out.
So we do get a little bit more data tomorrow. So obviously they can reset the deck however they want. They did run us overnight. That was a nice run overnight. Nice pop, nice move. Got a continuation off of the off the CPI print. I think we're just in one of those environments, Doc, that continuing to understand where we are within these wedges and these channels is going to be probably the most important thing that we can pay attention to until we get a true break one way or the other on these things. We have to understand the range. And from the past, we know that they can tighten us up pretty good inside of this and squeeze it pretty good before they let it break one way or the other outside of it, these channels and range. So good job with that. Bender, thank you very much. Sonny, thank you for the commentary and such as and whatnots. We got anything else, fellas?
I would just kind of, talking about some of these patterns and setups. I mean, I think, the Al Brooks TA guy, his thing is like a pattern will confirm about 50% of the time. And if we think about, so with that in mind, I kind of like to think about what is the overall direction, which way we been pushing, which can then kind of tell us more, is the pattern going to play out the way we think it will? So like yesterday we had the big sell, and then we saw a head and shoulders at the end of the day that did work out. The day before, similar second half of the day, we drifted up, and it looked like a rising wedge, and it didn't play out. So it's like we're in a very tricky scenario here versus a month ago when every bull flag ripped. So it's like kind of keeping all the perspective in mind along with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Sonny, anything?
No, that's all, man. Thank you.
All right. Bender?
Well, just take your attention to this Fortinet chart. Some of you know I'm in it. I did mention when I got in, common shares long, sold some puts on it as well. But keep an eye on this. Yeah, oh yeah, that was off of earnings. Keep an eye on this 61.38. If it crosses 61.38, you could see it start to try to make a move into this gap to try to fill some of this in. I'm going to add right here 67.69 being the midpoint of this gap. Not saying that it does that it gets in there, but above 61, that 61.30, whatever I said that was, it's actually 61.36. I'd set an alert for that because if we find that it breaks that level, maybe rechecks it as support, you could look at picking up some shorter dated calls and try to play that to the upside. And then obviously there's this gap down here that still exists below, but
that looks like their earnings report consisted of 3 letters. IOU. That's it. An IOU. And they just pass it out to everybody. That's where we are. That gap is wow.
And look at the numbers, right? It's not like they were all that bad. They missed on revenue slightly, and they beat on EPS. They guided. I think they guided up slightly. I mean, this right here to me was a bit overdone. And it pulled off this move, pulled back just below that 618. I would have liked to see it fill this gap first, right? And that's still the position that I have as a starter position because I was kind of going, all right, if it drops down into this and fills this gap 54.20, I'll pick up a little more. I may never get that, but maybe I do. Worth keeping an eye on. Again, if it breaks, this prior low, I'd say at this point, if it breaks this 58, if it breaks 58 again, you might look to target back into this gap 56 and then down to 54. But I'm looking for some recovery into this. So far, so good.
All right. Very
That's all I
good.
got.
All right, buddy. We got about 8 minutes till open. That's plenty of time to suck down 2 cigarettes, pound out some espresso, and probably even have a movement. So you got a lot in front of you.
Oh
Let's
my
get
God.
it done. Let's have
See you
a
in a
good
few.
day, and we'll see you soon.